Hey guys, it's Kim back again with another weekly cross-stitching update. This is video number 114. Today is the 29th of March, 2021. This is my third time recording. For various reasons, I had to keep doing it over, and I already have a headache. So excuse my lack of good cheer. Plus, I discovered a problem with my finish. So again, excuse my lack of cheer, but I will show you what I worked on this week. I worked on 4 different pieces. So let's go. Monday, after I made my video, I finished up Oh Baby, and if you saw my stitch with me, you saw how I finished it. And I have washed it and ironed it and took a picture, and it wasn't until my second time trying to record this video I realized that the color issue that I had on this side of his face, I also had on this side of his face, and hadn't realized it because it was in the Q-snap. So I'm thinking that I had the wrong color. I didn't just grab the wrong color when it came to this side of his face. I must have had the wrong color on the floss card to begin with to mess it up down here. And I'm even going to go back in Pattern Keeper and see if this is messed up as well. So I thought it was a finish, but now I have to go back and fix it because you shall see that it sticks out. So you see how nice and blended this side is? There's that same dark color right there. I need to fix that. You see, something on that side does not belong. So yes, I will be going back to fix that. So there's what it looks like, but he's not quite done because he's not right, and that will bother me. I'm certainly not going to get him framed with that sticking out like that. If you know that you have a mistake in your piece and you're fine with it leaving it, that's fine. There have been other places on multiple pieces where I get a stitch in the wrong spot and I leave it, but this distracts and takes away from the image, so I am going to fix that. So that's Oh Baby, Retired Hay by Gilgash Taylor, 25 count Lugana, 2/1 Continental 10 stitch. I did, you can see he's slightly not square, but he was a little bit worse when he was wet. What I did is I stretched and pulled the fabric all different directions until he was more straight, and I'll probably do that again after I fix that wrong color. So I started him, I don't even know if I already said this, on the 28th of May 2017, and of course finished him on the 22nd of March. Alright, I worked on Museum Shelf 5 out of the 7 days, but I'm going to save that for after my birthday start. Friday was my 40th birthday, and I decided that I should have a significant new start to mark the day. So I decided to do Paris by Tia Governor. The only prep that I had done before starting this kit was to take those large chart size pieces of paper to the office supply store to get working copies made. And that's it. I didn't touch the fabric, I didn't touch the floss until it was my birthday. Friday morning I had gone to the barn, but more on that later. So Friday after lunch I said, alright, time for the birthday, new start. And I took out the floss, which I knew were on these floss cards, and the floss cards had symbols on them, but I unwrapped them for the first time, and I realized there was an unmarked hank of floss in various colors that was tucked in with the floss cards. So the floss cards were like this, you know, folded in half and completely full. 2 of them were completely full. The third one only had about 10 colors. Look at how small these holes are compared to my fingers. Okay, so these are not a good design, not usable. They're all right for getting the floss to you in the kit, but the strands, like one strand was just like put through there straight. It wasn't even looped through and then secured on. So you could just pull all of them and they'd come straight out. And of course there's no space there to put in like partial lengths. So, and they're cardstock, so they certainly weren't going to last for the years it's going to take me to make this kit. So it took me a while to take the unmarked hank. There was one little square on the first page of the chart saying the bunch is these like 10, 12 colors. And I had to go through all the colors here and match them up to what was in the hank. Two of the colors were extremely close. One was like a tan and one was a khaki, and I had to stand it right next to a window and look at them. Keep holding up to different colors on here to make sure I had them all the same color. So that took me like 2.5 hours to, once I matched up the unmarked hank with these, then what I did in that 2.5 hours was make my own floss cards. So these are plastic floss cards off Amazon. I wrote all the symbols on there, and I moved the floss from the cardstock to these plastic ones. I use a Sharpie. Sharpie will not wipe off unless you take an alcohol wipe to it. What I learned while I was drawing all these symbols. You see this triangle up here? Okay, now look at this triangle down here. They're both filled in triangles, but the triangles are facing different directions. And those are only 2 of them. There's 2 more. So each, like it was rotated 90 degrees each way. See this upside down Y? That's only one of 4. The Y faces all 4 directions. See this dot with the triangle? That's one of 4. It faces all 4 directions. So something to know if you want to do a Tia Governor kit. If you do have one, let me know if your symbols are as annoyingly close as that as well. There's also 6 cards here because there's 104 colors. Most of these only have 1 length or 2 lengths per color. But yeah, there's 104 colors. So, we went out to dinner. We had to drive into town for my daughter's Girl Scout meeting. And we went out to eat while she was there. So I didn't get to start stitching because of that 2.5 hours of prep work and going out to eat. I didn't start stitching until my girls went to bed. And I was already getting fed up with things, so I got 200 stitches into my new start. I started from the middle of the fabric, as you normally do on all kits. And so this is this center archway on the Sacré-Cœur. That's what that is. So 200 stitches, new start. There we go. I haven't even zigzagged the edge of my Ada yet, but that's a new start for being 40. Okay, I spent 5 days on Museum Shelf. I had already started a history sprint when I showed this to you last week on this one, and I had like 500 stitches left to do on that sprint, and then 2 more sprints. So I have finished this page and started this page with the stairs. Look at the carpet runner, and you can see the vertical face of the carpet runner. So as it goes up, the back of the stairs is dark. So 5 days, I put in 7,010 stitches. So there is the entire piece. This is 25 count, easy count. And let me hold this up close. So there is the edge of the page that I finished. And I told you that I took these stairs all the way into where the colors changed. So here's the carpet of the stair runner. And like I said, as it goes up the step, it's dark. So that's over 2,510 stitches of black. And then I also did more of one of the browns. So I finished all 3 sprints that I intended on this one. And I also double counted those stitches for the Da Vinci Code and the bookshelf challenge for full coverage phonetics. So Friends Forever was on Rebecca. This one was on Da Vinci Code. And last night, you know, here we are at the end of March. I finally started the third book, which I'm matching the theme of something scary because it's the mystery genre. And so last night I picked up Trick or Treat for Murder on the Orient Express. And I was also going to double count those for 2 history sprints. I think I'll only get through the first sprint, which is the Salem witches, because there's a witch in the picture. So last night I put in 650 tent stitches. Again, this is the one that I did Extreme Cross Country All the Black first. These 2 partial pages are done, and I'm working on these 2 pages at the same time. So this was all in a dark green, and I started down here, filled out the back end of the dragling sitting on the pumpkin. Some of it went into augmenting the black and the cobblestones, and then it's coming over here now into the greenery behind the iron part of the fence. So I will continue to work on this for the rest of March to keep working on the book and the 1 history sprint. So Museum Shelf is done for now until we get to Confetti Conquistadors in full coverage Fanatics. That'll be the 16th through the 18th of April. That is a non-counting weekend event that we have for a piece that is high in confetti. 125 colors that counts as high as confetti. So I'll work on that for that weekend in April. Keep working on Trick or Treat here. Let me show you my history sprints sheet. So I've got 9 done, and I was going to do the Salem Witches for Trick or Treat, and also the Wright Brothers for Something That Flies. I don't think I'm going to get to that one because history sprints ends with the end of March. But for the March bookshelf, I can finish that whenever. So I'll keep working on Trick or Treat, but the stitches won't be double dipped after March ends. So if I can finish the Salem, that gives me 10 events. 10 history sprints done, which I think is pretty good. So plans for April. Starting 1 April, I will work on a summer ball daily as my replacement for Oh Baby. And yes, it was a little strange not working. It's still strange not working on Oh Baby daily. But now I get to work on it again to fix that color. So a summer ball starting 1 April, doing between 85 and 100 stitches daily. Those are full X's, not 10 stitches. And those will count for one of the April books, which were in the children's book genre. So The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe will do with a summer ball. Matching the children's book theme with a whimsical piece is going to be Card Sharp. That's the animals all playing cards. So that will be, those stitches will be for Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And then the third book is The Secret Garden, and I'm going to work on Half-Blood Prince for that one. And then, of course, keep working on Trick or Treat to finish off Murder on the Orient Express. So we'll see what else I get to in March, besides Big Red Ship for my monthly rotation. And I didn't work on Halloween Rules this month, so I need to definitely work on that. Try to get it finished before Halloween. Okay, old business. 2 weeks ago, I tried to give away all these magazines. Rebecca G, or Beck as we know her on Facebook, won this one, the lavender one, but she lives in Australia, and while I was willing to post to Australia, I was not willing to pay more than the magazine originally cost me. I spent $15 on this magazine originally, and the post office wanted, because this weighs over a pound, the post office wanted $30 to mail it to Australia. So I got in touch with Beck, and she said, I won't pay that either. And so instead, I racked her a chart of her choice. So she has that, and I chose a new winner for lavender using the random comment picker, and that is Soccer Mom 2001. I believe she lives in the US. So Soccer Mom 2001, I will reply to your comment back from video number 110. Please get with me. Send me an Instagram private message or messenger on Facebook, or send me a conversation on Etsy. Somehow get in touch with me to get your address so I can mail this to you. It only costs like $3.15 to mail in the US compared to 15 or 30 going to Australia. So, other stitching content. I did have a birthday, and Ann P. of Fiber Floss and Fiction Podcast spoiled me. She sent me a package with 2 items and sent me a rack from Haid. So the first thing, you probably didn't notice, I already have it on Museum Shelf. It's a shiny Pride and Prejudice book needle minder, since I'm using all these to hold my part threads. So that's my next one I'm going to use. And also sent a Jane Austen needle case. So it's got a magnet and one little pin in there. So thank you, Anne, for that one. And the chart she sent me is U.S. Travel Shelf by Amy Stewart, her recent bookshelf. This is just the regular size, regular colors. So there's 90 colors, and it's like 750 by 530. So, you know, just a small one to work on whenever I finish, or, you know, need a break from this one. I have bright colors to work on. So thank you very much. That's going to be a fun piece. And then for my mother-in-law and my stitching friend in Colorado, I got 1-2-3 Stitch gift cards. So those are burning a hole in my pocket. Probably going to pick out some fabric to get with those. Now, the rest of my stitching content, some new Flosstubers that I have been watching. Felicia from Mouse Potato Designs, I have been watching her actually since 2015. She's been making videos since 2009, but most of her videos are journaling / paper crafting / other handicraft things. But in February, she started cross-stitching. So she's just starting her journey, learning to stitch, and wants to do all kinds of small things so she can put things up on her wall. And she's got all kinds of creative ideas on how to finish them. And she's hilarious as well. So go check out Felicia at Mouse Potato Designs. All these folks will be linked below. Witchcraft, that's witch as in which one. She is fairly new to Flosstube as well. And I know she subscribes to me and is soon to join Full Coverage Fanatics challenges to help with her full coverage motivation. So she's British and has some interesting pieces that she's working on. So go check her out. And then the other one that is new is Emma X Stitching. She's also British and has a good variety of both full coverage and non-full coverage pieces. I think she's doing some sals, if I'm not mixing these 3 ladies up. And she's already got like 600 subscribers just because she's gotten some good shout outs. But she's very personal and good in front of the camera, so go check her out. So those are 3 new Flosstubers I've been watching. That is it for my stitching content. Quick life update, and then Air Force story because my head hurts. For the horse that I went to go see on Tuesday morning. It was to meet the horse, see where she was at, meet the owner. My girls are going to start taking riding lessons from her as soon as it warms up. If you've heard any vibration noises in this video, it's from the window screen. We're currently got like 65 mile an hour wind gusts, sustained winds up to 35, so it's not nice enough to go riding yet. Half the mornings were still below freezing. There isn't any snow out, but it's that back and forth, can't decide if it's going to be nice or still be the tail end of winter. And she has no indoor riding arena, so the only place to ride is outside. But I went to meet the horse because there's things I can do to work with her now without riding. So her barn name is Maddie. She's an 11-year-old registered quarter horse, and through no fault of her own, she is still green broke. So yes, you can get a saddle on her and ride her, walk, trot, canter, but she's like a baby, okay? She's more reactive to everything around her than thinking and using her brain. If you just do this, she's going to flip out, all right? She doesn't know the difference between doing this with intent, like you better get moving with the energy that I'm putting off, versus I'm just seeing if I can spook you just by waving my arm. So I will be working with her from the ground for a while. Ain't no way I'm getting on a horse that I can't even catch easily in a pasture. It took me 30 minutes yesterday to get her out of the pasture because both her and the other mare that she was with had no interest in being caught, so I was making them work. So I will be desensitizing her to a lot of things, and sensitizing her to some pressure, intent. I can swing a rope for all it's worth. If I have no intent, I expect you to stand there. And by the end of me working with her, she will. She'll be like, that rope's not going to hurt me, even if it's whistling through the air. So there's a difference. When horses can think instead of react, they know the difference between if you're doing something with energy, with an intent, like you better get moving, or like I'm trying to scare her. The more I scare her, the less she'll be scared, if that makes sense. She just has to experience and see a whole lot more things to be a well-broke horse. My girls went out to the barn with me yesterday, and I had to warn them and say, this is not Spencer. You cannot just walk up to her or be comfortable around her, because if one of the other horses reacts to something and starts running, this mare is going to spin around or, accidentally knock them on the ground without, intent of hurting them. But that's her. She reacts first and then thinks. And we need to get her thinking first. So the owner is like 5 weeks pregnant. She'll be teaching lessons, and she has a 3-year-old. So that's why I get to work with the horse, because she can't right now. So I get my horse fix, and I'm doing her a favor. So that's the deal that we have going on. And then I'll be paying for her to give my girl some lessons. Once it gets nice outside. So that is it for life events. Now we have an Air Force story. On Air Force bases that have airplanes, and even some that don't have airplanes, there is restricted areas where it's authorized personnel only. And for these restricted areas, you need to have a badge to get in saying that you are authorized. This is called a restricted area badge, or in the terms of maintainers, we just call it a line badge because we're going out to the flight line. And it's something that you carry either on a lanyard or on an armband, and you only wear it outside your clothes when you're in that restricted area. So on a lanyard, it'll also have a clip so it's not flying around in your face in the wind, or as you're bending over doing maintenance, it's not getting in the way. So this badge, and I don't have one to show you because they're controlled items. Once you leave a base, they take them and shred them. It's even hard to find a picture of one on the internet. So it has your picture, and it has all these numbered areas with either a mark next to it for the areas that you're authorized to enter, or like a hole punch. And there might also be a letter E on it. That means that you are authorized to be an escort. So when I was active duty, if my parents came out and they wanted to go out on a flight line as an officer, I had escort on my line badge, so I could call up the shop that keeps track and say them, give them my name, give them how many people I have, and where I was going to be on the flight line. And then they call and tell the security forces who are guarding the flight line that I have approval and where I'll be, so they know exactly what's going on. Same kind of thing if you want to take pictures. You can't just have a line badge and say, okay, I want to take a picture, and start taking pictures. You need to call in a picture clearance. And that information gets to the base cops who are out there sitting in their pickup trucks guarding the flight line. And so they know that you have picture clearance. If you try to enter these restricted areas, like let's just talk about the flight line specifically, without a line badge, or if you enter it from the wrong spot, you will soon be kissing the concrete, as those security forces will be driving up very quickly in their vehicle and forcing you to the concrete. There's a red line all the way around the flight line with specific entry control points, ECPs, where spaces where you can walk in or drive in using a government vehicle that is authorized to be on the flight line. So the maintainers have certain areas that you can drive on the flight line. Other people can drive on the flight line as well. Because for the aircrew that fly these planes, depending on what base you're at, how many people are on the airplane and how far away their squadron building is from the flight line, they either might walk out to the flight line and go through an ECP, or they might be driven out there, picked up on a vehicle, usually a bus, and bussed out to the flight line. Especially like here in B-52s, there's, at least 5, if not more people per airplane, and they fly in 2 ships a lot of times, so you've got 10 people that need to come out to the flight line. So they all get on a bus with their bags of gear and head out to the flight line. Well, the people that are driving these buses belong to Logistics Readiness Squadron, or LRS. Now, Logistics Readiness Squadron, just like it sounds, they're in charge of all the logistics on the base. Parts coming in, things going out. All the vehicles, the government vehicles on the base, they are assigned to different units. But when it comes to their maintenance and exchanging them for newer vehicles, all that is through LRS. Fuels on the base, both aircraft fuel, other like the heavy equipment, CE type equipment, civil engineering equipment, and regular car fuel is through LRS. So these bus drivers, or any of the maintainers that have a flight line driver's license, you have then studied and passed a test as to the rules for flying or for driving on the airfield around airplanes that are moving. I think there was only one place I ever got a flight line driver's license. I was still too damn, I was a lieutenant. I was too damn scared to actually drive, but I could if I had to. I was, sitting in trucks with my enlisted folks, absorbing knowledge for them, asking questions, help problem solving, but they were the ones driving. They had the more experience and knew what they were going to be around doing. So all these things to restrict movement on the flight line. There's certain areas, like I said, to drive, and you don't want to break red. I'm going off on so many different tangents. So I have some pictures to show you. What did I just do? Okay, so I went on Google Maps and I took some aerial images of Seymour Johnson in North Carolina, because that's the ramp that I'm most familiar with. I spent 5 years, not exactly all 5 years on this ramp, but at least a year and a half I was out there every single day when I was working on the flight line. So let me see. The sunshades were not there when I was there. So now they have all these sunshades. So there's planes under all these sunshades that look like this. So these ones, the sunshades are being built, but they didn't have the shades up yet. So you see like Christmas tree effect. Those are where the aircraft taxi. If you look closely, you see the white lines in front and behind each row of aircraft. Those are the driving lanes. So that's where vehicles need to stay, because if a vehicle is within those white lines, an aircraft can still taxi by without hitting it. So that's your wing clearance from the taxi line to the driving line. Let's see, where's the other picture I was going to look at? Okay, so these are aircraft hangars. You see how this little bit of white there, so this is where the red line is. A little bit of white that's thicker, that's an ECP for walking through. This one has a little bit more white, that's a driving. You see the white driving lanes. So that's a vehicle ECP. This little area right here is a holding area for ground equipment. There's another one, little ground equipment spot. Let's see what else. When you are driving into the flight line, you have to do what's called a FOD check. And this is where you're looking for rocks, pebbles, anything metallic sticking in your tires, anything that looks like it might be falling off the vehicle, because you don't want that stuff falling off on the ramp where then a jet engine could pick it up and cause millions of dollars worth of damage. So you have to do a FOD check. FOD checks are a lot easier if you have multiple people in the car, because the driver can stay in his spot. So he stops, passenger gets out, does a walk around, checking for anything in the tires and checking for any loose objects on the vehicle. And then once he does one walk around, the driver has to drive forward like 12 to 18 inches for them to do another walk around, because the part of the tire that was on the ground for the first stop has to be moved to a different spot, so the vehicle rolls forward, so that spot is now up here so it can be looked at. So that's why you have to do a rolling FOD check. So here's just a picture of a guy. This guy looks like he's by himself, so he had to stop, go and park, walk around the vehicle, drive forward a foot, park, walk around the vehicle again. That's what you have to do when you're by yourself. In the hangars, there's a red line as well, because if that red line is only in effect if there's an aircraft in the hangar. So you don't want to break red with an aircraft in the hangar either. So this is Langley in Virginia. So there you can see there's aircraft parked in the hangar with a red line around them. And they actually had an aisle painted so you could cut through the hangar without having to walk around the whole damn thing. So you can cut through. Depending on the base in the hangar, you may not have that and you have to walk all the way around. So these are some F-22s. Here is the front hangar door. You can see the red line and tree control point. So that's where you can walk through, as long as you have your line badge displayed. I think that's it. Anyways, this whole thing came into my head to talk about today because last week when my husband flew, he rode out on the bus with the rest of the aircrew members, and there was a young airman between 18 and 20 that was driving the bus. And so my husband asked him as they were getting off the bus. It was a two-ship and both crews had been on the bus, and he's like, do you have anything to do right now, immediately? Kid's like, no. So he said, have you ever walked around and seen inside a B-52? No. Come on, let's go. So you turn off the bus, and my husband gave, 5-10 minute tour to walk this kid around a B-52 and then take him up inside so he could see what the inside of the airplane looks like and where they sit and everything that they're doing. So he got a free, like a little aircraft tour. This, didn't take much time. My husband, with his position on the aircrew, had the time to take because the rest of the aircrew have more pre-flight things to do. So it took him no time at all. And it made this kid's week, if not his month. Because here is an 18 to 20-year-old who all he does is drive around vehicles and deal with vehicles all day. He doesn't know how that relates to the base mission of flying B-52s, training up aircrew members in case that they ever have to go into combat. But now, because of 5-10 minutes that my husband took, he was able to see that link of how his job is important, because he's getting those aircrew out there so they can, fly and perform the mission. So things like that, it's always important, even if you're not in the Air Force, you're not in the military, see how you can link those things so that other people understand the importance of everything that's going on. Because if you're not in it, you don't realize. Just like after I told you guys the flyover story, you're like, wow, I had no idea so much goes into a simple flyover at a sporting event. So that's another reason why I tell these stories. And I know you guys enjoy them. So everybody have a good stitching week. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.